Yeah, I know.
Good morning, everybody. What is the horizon? Good morning, everybody. It's 4:30 a.m. right now on this Tuesday, January 20th. I'm Michael Gargiulo.
It's like that outdoorsy thing that we don't really talk about very much in the city. Yeah, I'm Darlene Rodriguez. Adele Caballero's watching slowdowns in New Jersey and Storm Team 4's Maria LaRosa. What's going on?
My ongoing joke is that the horizon is sometime April and May.
Okay.
It will officially thaw out. But yeah, not today. It's bitter cold, dangerous cold, all of the things. The good news I'm going to spin right now is that the winds aren't crazy. They're not really, really gusty. It's just that cold. So it doesn't take much to really knock down these feels-like temperatures. All right, we're at 20 at Central Park, 19 in White Plains, 18 in Eastport, 7 right now in Monticello. Again, winds aren't too bad, but just enough where the wind chill being reported in White Plains, Newark, Bridgeport, Islip, all in the single digits. So not getting any better today. In fact, we still have that cold weather advisory posted for New Jersey. Wind chills could dip as low as 5 to 10 below zero. That's dangerous. You want to bundle up all the layers, and including the sunglasses today. Those skies will be bright. By 10 o'clock, 19 degrees, 22 by 3 p.m. That's about as good as it gets for today. Again, staying clear and cold straight through tonight. All right, 4:31 right now. Adele, what's slowing us down so far?
Right now we're dealing with a couple of full closures. Let's start things off here on the 80 and 95 local lanes on the southbound side. So right as you make it off of the George Washington Bridge into New Jersey, all lanes are shut down from Route 46 out to the 80-95 split. So exit 72 out to exit 69. Express lanes, though, still remain open. And if you are hopping onto the Turnpike northbound inner roadway, that's completely closed. Exit 8 out to exit 14.
People are fleeing for the relative warmth of Queens right now.
Right. Very perceptive. We'll take every
Yeah,
degree.
it is the highest there, huh?
Every degree. Yes, Queens, the hot spot, 22 degrees there. 21 in Brooklyn and Staten Island and the Bronx now at 18. Obviously, the wind's a factor in how it feels. Still breezy today and into tomorrow. Things calm down toward the end of the week, but not the case heading into the weekend. It's starting to look interesting again. We'll have the latest forecast coming up in the 10-day.
Thank you. Also coming up,
Break
nice to
there
take a
from
break from school.
5th grade, you know.
And get out and do things.
Touch grass, as the kids say. I love that. So sweet. And I fully support. Enjoy what winter can bring us, because you could be unhappy and still have the wintry weather, or you could have fun and have the wintry weather. All right, well, we've got the snowpack sticking around, obviously. We're not getting above freezing until tomorrow night. So this is going to continue to be around. But I want to draw your attention to what's going to be unfolding the next few days is pretty wild. Yes, this is a forecast of snow cover come the weekend and into early next week. Look at all the places across the south with significant snow potential, ice. This is a major storm that will be very disruptive. We'll have some impact here as we are looking at by the weekend into early next week. Could be another decent snowmaker for us. So the models are really trying to shout at us. So I'll give you the latest on that. In the short term, though, we go from bitter to better soon. We are watching the weekend with that next Arctic blast heading into early next week, the end of the weekend next week. Today's story, absolutely how cold it is. So teens, low 20s for highs, but factor in a wind. Again, the winds aren't crazy today, but just enough that it's going to keep the wind chill factor in the single digits to near zero pretty much all day. Could dip below zero early this morning. Even tomorrow morning will feel bitter out there, but watch as I go through the day. So midday, afternoon high temperatures, if you will, 20s, still below freezing, but the temperatures will continue to rise into midnight. So yes, we get above freezing, but not until late in the day on Wednesday. And then Thursday, that's the better part of it. Here comes that next system that's going to be marching across the south that'll enforce the cold, and then another system develops Sunday into Monday. That could be the...
Yes, I think yesterday there were so many young people there, which is also great to see, right?
Everybody, yeah.
Keep the young people engaged.
Yes.
You know, and they love seeing me.
Yeah, I know.
Michael.
Work of art yourself.
Yes.
Exactly.
Handsome stud right here.
There we go. Well, it's a great day to interior north spot for tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Michael, you should be flattered. Look at this.
Yes.
Perfection doesn't come emerge and
Governor Phil Murphy signing a bill that all New Jersey school districts that have familiar with how checks work and writing checks and the whole thing.
Or how to sign their name like a grown-up. You know, there's that. All right. Still to come, what a new report from the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying about screen time limits for your kids.
You're watching Today in New York.
Here I am just trying to give you the real deal. But just straight up air temperatures are pretty rough. Chester at 12, Middletown at 9 right now, Sherman at 15. Again, the winds aren't too bad right now, but it doesn't take much to knock the feels like temperatures lower than this. Elizabeth at 19, that's what we find at Central Park, Garden City as well. So again, winds will be a factor anytime they kick in, and because it is so dry and just that cold, wind chill factored in will be in the single digits all day pretty much. By 2 p.m., 22 degrees, that's our high, with clear, cool, calm conditions. Once again, temperatures back down into the low teens, and any hint of a breeze, that wind chill stays in the single digits. All right, 5:01 right now. Let's get you out the door if you must. Adele, what's
Yes, if you must. Brooklyn, it's going to take some time to navigate around. We're juggling a couple of crashes here. First one being on the Belt Parkway westbound over by exit 15 for Erskine Street. You've got one lane closed off there. You are going to be tapping on the brakes through the area. It's not causing crazy backups though. Another story though on the Gowanus Expressway. Again, this crash is just off camera here. It's on the eastbound side over by exit 24 for the Prospect Expressway. It does involve a car and a truck, and it is causing slowdowns just past the Prospect Expressway, trickling back to about the Belt Parkway merge, and 23 southbound is still closed by Stockholm Vernon Boulevard for downpour. Michael, back to you.
All right, Adele, thanks very much. Mikey Sherrill will be inaugurating a women's disco.
I think we found our favorite person of the day.
Yes.
Oh,
certainly
sweet.
did.
Yes, but you know what? We get it, and yes, that translates to today.
It sure does, and it sure did. All right, guys, on this Tuesday, though, it's clear, it's dry, but it is cold. We head to Glen Cove, New York, where it's going to stay cold through tomorrow, a little better on Friday. By Saturday, though, highs diving into the teens. No precipitation yet. After that, though, got some interesting things to talk about. We'll show you that in the 10-day.
Thank you so much. And community centers.
Okay, 5:15 right now. We'll check in with Maria. We're looking at the highs here, Maria, and we're hanging in.
They're not that high.
Right.
The pretty low highs. Yeah. Yes, I was going to say the NBC New York app is a wonderful weather app, by the way, and you get the basic information, right, where you see the numbers, the high temperatures, but that's where we get to come in and give you those things you can't get on an app. What the 34 for tomorrow actually means. It's not going to be all that much warmer during the daylight hours, but then you can see by Thursday we're back up into the low 40s. But what on earth is happening between Friday and Saturday with highs back into the teens? A lot. So a lot to get to. Overall, though, today is still pretty simple. We've got clear skies, it's cold, and just a little bit of a breeze, not quite as blustery that we had at times yesterday. With that said, those west winds, 10 to 15 miles per hour, that'll ensure those wind chills stay in the single digits every time that wind kicks in. But grab the sunglasses along with every other winter weather gear, because it is going to be really bright. The sky and the air is really dry. So a lot of sunshine, 22 degrees by 3 p.m. and still back into the teens through 9 o'clock. But interesting temperature story tomorrow, start their way back into the 40s by Thursday. So just a little heads up there. Beyond that, we're watching the weekend. We've got a bowling ball here of a little clipper that's going to sweep on through. That's going to help drop those temperatures, but also produce a high impact winter weather system here as we get into the weekend. This is one look at a snow forecast across the south from Dallas to Mississippi, Atlanta to Charlotte. We're on the northern side for a time, but we too will have to watch the end of the weekend early next week. 19 out there right now, as you can see, again, wall-to-wall sunshine. We're only going to make it to 22 today, and then of course frigid overnight before temperatures start that climb back up. 43 by Thursday. We're nowhere near that for the foreseeable future. Temperatures next week stay into the mid-20s, and again, watching that Sunday, Monday time frame. All right, 5:17, 5:18 on the
It is 5:30 a.m. right now on this Tuesday. It's January 20th. I'm Michael Gargiulo.
I'm Darlene Rodriguez. Del Caballero's here looking at roads and rails on this cold morning, and Maria LaRosa has the forecast. Those numbers aren't going to creep up very much.
No, not at all. Not at all. Maybe a couple degrees, actually. Yeah. Yes, and it is so dry out there as well. So just make sure you stay hydrated. That just helps your body deal with this kind of cold a little bit better. Of course, all the layers definitely help. We're at 19 now at Central Park, Islip 2, White Plains at 18. We're down to 5 in Monticello. That fresh snow snow cover, adding to that low-level chill. Of course, without the really gusty winds, that's one thing, but it doesn't take much with it being this cold to knock those feels like temperatures down. It feels like 6 right now at Central Park. And so with many hours here expected to be at that level or even colder with the feels like, it's that dangerous cold. So we do have the cold weather advisories for parts of New Jersey, but again, I could apply that really anywhere. Just make sure you're prepared. Grab the shades too, by the way. By 1 o'clock, 21 degrees, skies are dry, and it's going to be really bright with that fresh snowpack that can be sometimes pretty blinding. By 7 p.m. into 10 o'clock hour, we are still going to be dipping into the teens, but not as gusty. All right, 5:31. Adele, how's it looking out there?
Playing that in this weather.
Well, it's fun to watch, especially if it's snowing. Well, we don't have the snow, but we do have the cold. It's Brooklyn at 20, 17 in Staten Island, 20 right now as we look at LaGuardia and the Bronx, coming in at 17 degrees. We do have a lot of cold air on the way. Of course, wind chills today staying in the single digits. But believe it or not, it's not just bitter cold that's back, but snowfall. So have the latest outlook on a weekend system coming up in the 10-day.
Thanks so much. Also ahead, bird flu fears on Long Island. The local park discovery now under investigation.
And then writing cursive into law. What cursive skills?
I'm so glad because I know our kids, there's a whole generation that didn't learn it.
No.
You know, or started to learn it and then didn't. And
can't read it.
And can't read it. So like sometimes when I would do birthday cards, you know, and then when they write their signature, it's like embarrassing.
It's a mess.
We like to air the family laundry out here now.
What is that?
I don't even know if they taught cursive, it would make a difference. You know, teenage boys, I can speak from experience. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, he learned cursive his whole life, and I can't read his handwriting, so you're right.
Oh, yeah. See, exactly.
I'm not the person you want to talk to, right?
Exactly. All right, well, interesting stuff. All right, we'll be talking about the cold air coming our way, but when you look back just at the last 7 days, this doesn't even seem like it happened, right? We had a couple days in the mid and upper 40s, low 50s. That was last week. Of course, the most recent stretch, feeling the chill, and obviously we're entrenched in it again today. While we're talking about a brief recovery this week, we are thoroughly entrenched in the weather pattern that's going to keep us on the very cold side, really through the end of the month and into even February. So we'll have to see what the groundhog say on the 2nd. But as far as the weather pattern goes, we are looking ahead to much more winter. So today, it's just be ready for that chill. Be ready for the bright skies, too. We have all that fresh snow cover. The air is really dry. That sun will be bright. 19 at 9 a.m., 20 degrees by noontime, 22 the high. You can see those winds from time to time, 5 to 15 miles per hour, but it won't be as gusty heading into tonight. So it'll be another frigid start to the day tomorrow. Beautiful view of Earth Cam of our lovely Lady Liberty. At times the camera has been shaking, so there is a bit of a breeze. But a couple things to remember for this week. We are going from bitter to better soon, but it's brief. We have another Arctic blast headed our way for the weekend, and that is setting us up for a wintry system here by the time we get to late Saturday and Sunday. And I usually don't, want to advertise any kind of model, showing off a big winter system this far in advance. But it being a weekend, a lot going on. Definitely watch this time frame from Saturday night into Sunday. You can see we're set up for snow. It is going to be another bitter cold stretch of weather. So 19 in Hoboken right now, Ozone Park at 20, so is JFK, but it feels like the single digits at times from Fairlawn, Emerson into the low teens. Looking ahead, there's our big thaw. So temperatures rise throughout tomorrow, 43 for the high on Thursday, and then we have that next temperature crash. Sunday into Monday, the snowfall potential, but that bitter cold lingers. All right, 5:48. Adele, how's it looking out there?
Very slow right now, at least on the Cross Bronx Expressway. Westbound, we do have a crash by exit 4A for Sheridan Boulevard, and you can see delays have.
Arctic air freezes hour out. Good morning, everybody. Tuesday morning, it's January 20th. I'm Darlene Rodriguez.
Michael Gargiulo, Adele Caballeros here watching our cold roads and rails. Storm reporters LaRosa here with today's forecast. We've been looking at the map, Maria.
I know.
And then looking away.
Yeah, right.
Away.
And then crying. And then we cry.
And then we cry, and then the tears freeze.
Yeah, right.
But it is really rough out there. Just make sure you're prepared, and that means just cover everything, extra layers. I don't think it's too much to add those extra layers to, because it is just straight up that cold. We have 15 in Mount Kisco, Redding Ridge at 14, Montgomery at 11 degrees. We head over to Hoboken at 18, with Farallon at 16. That's what we find at Great Neck. Again, just a little bit of a wind, not to the level of the blustery conditions we had yesterday. With that said, anytime it kicks in, it's enough to drop these feels like temperatures into the single digits, where we'll stay pretty much all day. So it's also incredibly dry, bright skies the entire day. 22 degrees will be the high. And then once again, with clear, cool, calm conditions, that fresh snow cover, it's going to be another bitter start to the day tomorrow. All right, 6:01 now. Let's see those cold roadways and
credits. They say they also plan to replace the pipes that are causing those original problems.
6:09 right now. LaRosa has the weather.
Yes, and we are cold and dry right now. The satellite radar picture is a clear one, but coming up, got a couple opportunities here heading into the weekend, and it's not rainfall. We're looking at snow, potentially high impact here Sunday into Monday. So I'm going to break down the latest thinking and get you through this, and of course the bitter cold in the 10-day forecast.
Thanks so much, and still ahead.
This Morgan video was not approved, authorized, or endorsed by Disney. This Morgan video was not approved, authorized, or endorsed.
More than 100 vehicles involved. We say it started yesterday morning. A whiteout left travelers and commuters pretty much driving blind. Trucks jackknifed, cars collided, some slid off the road. Officials say 9 to 12 people, they were injured, but fortunately, no word of any deaths. The interstate did manage to reopen last night, but you could just see how you could get caught in that, Darlene.
For sure.
And
you don't see it until it's too late.
Until it's too late, exactly.
And you can't stop. That's a big, big pileup, Maria.
And that's in an area where they're used to these types of really tough winter conditions.
I was going to say, where we see lake effect snow bands, where those snow squalls can set up relatively short distance, right? And all of a sudden you're into this wall of snowfall. That's the setup that we had yesterday. In fact, just over the last 12 hours, it doesn't look like anything moves very much. I mean, that is the nature of lake effect. It follows the flow of the air, and it's a cold western flow here. So some of the same spots, you have this in western New York, continuing to see hours and hours of snowfall. So unfortunately not improving in the short term, although across the country right now, for now, things are looking pretty quiet. But we are looking at, especially around the Great Lakes, the additional snowfall. We have the snowpack, of course, that we've gotten over the last few days. What's really interesting is watch this next winter system unfold. As you can see, potentially significant impacts for travel for existing here in parts of the South, from Dallas to Little Rock, Atlanta to Charlotte. This winter snow system here, by the time we get to the weekend, we'll be watching closely, even an ice component, which is never fun. But we're on the northern side of it, but we're setting ourselves up to support that snowfall here as well. So we are going to be watching, of course, with the cold air in place, how that'll impact our forecast. I'll show you that in a second. In the short term, it is all about the cold, the deep freeze, the dangerous cold, however you want to characterize it, because it feels like temperatures today will stay in the single digits to near zero. So again, several hours of this, that is tough for your body to deal with. Take those precautions. Highs today only in the upper teens and low 20s. It's another bitter start to the day tomorrow, and then throughout the day tomorrow afternoon. We're in the afternoon, we're still below freezing. Those temperatures continue to rise towards midnight. So our official high, yes, above freezing, but we're not going to see it probably until about midnight. Something to just keep in mind as you prepare. Temperatures will continue to go up though on Thursday. So right now, Fort Lee at 17, that's what we find at Passaic. Again, that hint of a wind chill where it feels like the single digits. Temperature wise tomorrow, again, climbing through the freezing point, but by Thursday, that'll feel pretty good, 43 degrees. We reinforce the cold ahead of the weekend. So by Sunday to Monday, really watching the potential for high impact snow even here, upper teens and low 20s. And as far as highs, not much recovery after that. All right, 6:16 now. Delays out there, Adele.
Yes, we must. Let's check in with Bria on the temperatures.
Yes, if it's back to work, back to school, obviously starting off frigid from Hillsborough, Hoboken, Long Beach to Hauppauge, low teens to upper teens, and we're only going to end up in the 20s, but with a ton of sunshine. I've got even colder temperatures on the way, but we're going to throw in some snow potential too. All of that in the 10-day forecast.
Thanks so much, Maria. Still ahead, writing cursive into law, why some kids in New Jersey are about to get an
43. So usually the hardest part about buying concert tickets is getting online and getting the seats you want before everybody else.
But for a Bronx woman, finding seats was easy. Buying only 2 of them proved to be the real problem. News 4 consumer reporter Linda Beccaro explains.
Really helping so much.
No. I feel like I picked this one because it almost looks like a fireplace, right?
Yeah.
The sun coming up.
Looks like one.
Looks like it's nice and warm out there. Not at all, but it is crystal clear. The air is really dry, so stay hydrated today. One piece of advice, along with wearing every layer you can fit onto yourself, because we do go from bitter to a little better soon. It is very brief because I'm talking already about this Arctic blast part 2 before the weekend is done. And speaking of, watching it very closely, a couple of potentially major impact systems coming across the country. So we'll be looking at how that will affect us by the end of the weekend. Again, the short-term story for sure, just how cold it is. It's 18, wind chill of 8 degrees with that wind every time it kicks in, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So while the winds are not off the charts, it's going to be plenty to keep those wind chills down in the single digits all day. You see those gorgeous clear skies, so tons of sunshine. Remember the sunglasses on top of everything else, because the sky is bright today. 22 at 2 o'clock, and then back into the teens by this evening. One interesting temperature story heading into tomorrow, while we're talking about it getting better, it's taking its time. So we start off very, very cold again tomorrow. These are just actual air temperatures in the forecast. By the midday, we're still well below freezing. So you're going to see the high temperature for the day above freezing. That's really not going to happen until tomorrow, because the temperatures will continue to rise steadily throughout the entire day into Thursday. And then we're going to keep an eye on this. This is a little bowling ball storm system that's going to sweep on through. That brings us the next dose of cold air, and that sets us up for the next winter storm potential here as we get into Sunday. And speaking of, this is that first high impact system here that will potentially bring ice and major snow across parts of the south from Dallas to Atlanta. And then, of course, timing wise, we're going to be watching it for the end of the weekend as we are thoroughly set up for Snowmaker. Look at those high temperatures back in the teens Saturday and Sunday. So today we're at 22. Pick a spot pretty close to that, and it's frigid again tomorrow morning, down to 12 in the city. Thursday is the best of the bunch because you see we're nowhere near that. Once we get past the weekend, highs are staying in the mid and upper 20s with lows all next week in the teens. All right, 6:47 now. Adele, lots of
That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
All right, Al, here we go. Warming up today, not really. We've got a lot of sunshine, though. The warm up is to the low 20s. We're at 16 right now. Feels like 4. That dew point's at 0. We're going to keep all the sunshine with those dry conditions. And then, of course, with the feels like temperatures, anytime that wind kicks in, it'll stay into the single digits. And then by tomorrow, another frigid start.